So I turned around and I said to Jackie in Chinese, I said, the fight scene you just described in the jail is really funny. Keep all those ideas and welcome to America. And then I left. So my first film was Joy Luck Club, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited because suddenly I could join SAG.
Right.
And I'm a professional now. So if you're chit-chatting, you'll be in trouble. No one chit-chats on his set.
Like the Brett Ratner sets are quite the opposite. It's party time.
If he can survive what he did from age 7 to 17, who are you not to try hard in life?
I'm really excited today. I have a very dear friend of mine, longtime friend, Diana Weng, who is an actress and a dialogue coach, right? Would you call yourself an actor? And what else can we add to the list there? Stunt woman.
Yeah, sometimes when necessary. Mother.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yes.
Very important job, mother.
Yes. Robotics mentor.
Really?
What is that?
Yeah.
Well, my son is a captain. My son is a captain of the robotics team.
Okay.
And they need adults to watch over the kids. So that's what I do. I watch over the kids.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So can anybody be a robotics mentor if you know somebody who's in the class?
You have to go through the paperwork and make sure you are legit and you haven't committed any crimes. Then yes.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Huh.
I wanted to ask you, Diana, just straight off. Both you and your sister and maybe some other people in your family are in entertainment. And I wanted to know what gave you guys that first initial bug, because I know your parents aren't in the entertainment business, right?
Yes and no. I think my daughter is hiding back there somewhere. Say hello. Hello. Elizabeth. Please go and close the door. Thank you. Beware. She could do it again.
If you like our videos, go ahead and click on like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Thanks.
Elizabeth.
So my family owned a restaurant in San Francisco's Castro district.
I know. I stayed in your parents' condo, or townhouse.
Yeah. So our restaurant was called Happy Boy, and our customers were all gay.
Okay.
So we were introduced to a whole different world at a very early age, a very theatrical world in a way, right?
Sure.
So looking back, it's like, when you're a child growing up in a restaurant in that area, you're seeing drag queens come into your restaurant, right? So you learn very early that the world is full of all kinds of people.
Sure.
And anyone wearing costumes and makeup just seems so glamorous, even if they are a drag queen. Right?
Good point.
I never really thought about exploring acting, really. But in college, I entered a speech competition, and I won. And afterwards, people were like, you should be an actor. You're so dramatic. You're so funny. And so I thought, gosh, so many people telling me I should be an actor. Why not take a class? So in college, I took a class, and it was interesting, but wasn't that big a deal. Then I decided to take a second class. And the second class, I had a great teacher. That's where I was really inspired. Suddenly, I wanted to be like her.
Right.
I tell you that when you have a great mentor, a great teacher, you are inspired to do what they're doing, right? And so it all started in college.
Good point. Yeah, and then I know you went to Berkeley, right?
Yes, and of course, anything I'm involved with, my sister, will get involved with.
Jude,
so
you talking about Jude?
Sister, Jude joined me, became an actor too. But she didn't really enjoy acting. She enjoyed writing. She enjoyed directing, and that's where she's at now. She's now a director in Hollywood.
Yeah, she's doing she did Fresh Up the Boat, a couple of episodes,
directed several episodes, yes. And she's getting ready to do a film, so.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've known Diana and her sister Jude when they had a really cool loft in downtown LA. Remember that loft you guys had? And they used to use it for video shoots and all these interesting things.
Independent project. Yes.
Yeah, I did a music video there, and also Jude directed me in a play, a reading anyway, called Refrigerators, with a couple other friends we've had, so anyway. I've known her. Yeah, we've had a long history, and I sang at Diana's wedding. Remember, I was telling you about I'm always the wedding singer.
So good.
Oh, by the way, her wedding was, I always tell people, like, this was like the gold standard of weddings, because Diana's very low key, and she's just you're very not the type that spends hours getting ready. Like, I don't think you seem very low key. Anyway, her wedding was the extravaganza of the century with the dragons and the gymnast. And you made it about the guests more than about you guys, I thought, right?
The funny thing is, when you're an actor, people assume you want all the attention. And maybe that's the case when you're performing. But it's my wedding. I want to relax and have fun and make my friends work.
Yeah. She had
Kimbra was performing.
Yeah, I mean, she had gymnasts, and you had
Tahitian dancers.
Yeah. Oh my God, I've never been to a wedding like this before.
How fun.
Yeah. Anyway, so then, so how did you get involved in the Jackie Chan dialogue coaching part of your life?
So I moved to LA. I was working as an actor. I had 2 agents and a manager. And my manager said, come on down to an interview. Jackie Chan's in town to work on Rush Hour. And he needs someone to teach him English. So I went in, not expecting to get the job because my Chinese is not very good. But
she's being modest. She speaks Mandarin, Cantonese, and English, obviously.
But at a 2nd grade level. So I walk into the interview, and I'm thinking, the producers won't know how good my Chinese is. They won't know. I was so wrong because in comes Jackie Chan and his entourage. And I went, oh, no. He's going to hear my Chinese and immediately know I'm lousy. I can't speak it very well. So sure enough, that's exactly what happened. I walked into the interview. There's like 10 people there. His entourage is there. The director, producers are all there. And I start talking to him in Chinese. I know he's from Hong Kong, and he speaks Cantonese. So I started speaking to him in Cantonese. And he was like, your Cantonese sounds so strange. Are you from Malaysia? I'm like, no. He goes, where did you learn it from? And I said, I learned it from San Francisco, Chinatown. He said, your Cantonese sounds like you're in pain when you speak. So I went, okay, I'm not getting this job. And then he speaks Mandarin as well. So I spoke to him in Mandarin. And he was like, that still sounds strange, but I could kind of understand you. So suddenly the conversation shifted to fight scenes. And they forgot all about me for the next 45 minutes. So I sat there going, I thought this interview was about me. Right? But apparently it's not. So I sat there and listened to the fight scenes and so forth. And I'm like, should I interrupt them and say I'm still here? Does anyone want to talk to me? But I decided I should probably keep my mouth shut, and that was probably a wise thing to do. But suddenly somebody said, "Oh, you're still here? You can go." And I went, "Oh no!" I failed to leave any kind of impression at all. So I gathered my stuff, and I'm thinking, "Gosh, you gotta say something interesting." I couldn't think of anything. So I gathered my stuff, I opened the door, I said, okay, one more thing. I gotta say one more thing. So I turned around and I said to Jackie in Chinese, I said, the fight scene you just described in the jail is really funny. Keep all those ideas and welcome to America. And then I left. 4 hours later, I got a phone call and I got the job. And I went, whoa, how? He criticized me. He said my Chinese was horrible. How did I get the job? But after knowing Jackie, I know that he likes to give people opportunities. And I think he did appreciate that I was listening and gave my feedback when nobody asked me for it. Because all the people around him are afraid to talk. And so if you dare to speak, it's like, ooh, maybe you have something worth listening to.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well,
That's great.
Weren't you coaching him on English anyway? So your English is what needed to be good.
That is true.
Rather
that is
than
true.
just...
In my mind, I was thinking I would have to spend a lot of time explaining things to him, what his dialogue meant, what his co-stars saying. Because, his co-star is Chris Tucker. And Chris Tucker improvises his lines. So his lines are constantly changing. But Jackie's actually kind of impatient when it comes to listening to anyone's explanation about anything. He's a doer, right? And so he doesn't want to stand there and listen to you talk unless he absolutely has to. So often when Chris Tucker was like improvising and his lines would change, and when I try to tell Jackie that, he would say, I don't care what he's saying. So if you watch Rush Hour, it's really quite funny because he has no idea what Chris is saying to him.
That's funny.
That's the Jackie Chan method of acting.
Yeah, he does his own thing. It doesn't matter what his co-star is doing. He's just focused on his lines, trying to get them down.
Oh, that's
You
funny.
said a story one time that I'll never forget. I think it was you. We were talking about stunts, and you were saying how this really extreme hard stunt was set up, and the members of SAG were there, and they were like, Jackie, you can't do this, you can't do this. And he was like, I'm doing it. Do you remember that? One of Jackie's stunts?
It probably did happen, and it happens often. Often he gets upset because he wants to do more, and they won't let him. So yeah,
Right.
that probably happened.
Oh, that's
wow. Yeah, I came onto the set when she was doing Rush Hour, when they were doing Rush Hour in Culver City. I guess it was called Sony, right? That was quite a fun shoot.
Huh. So do you have any other interesting stories? What other roles have you played yourself as an actor?
You mean as an actor in his films?
Yeah,
or not.
or anything.
Yeah, so in Jackie's films, I've been in a few of them.
Okay.
In Rush Hour, they suddenly decided that Mr. Chow of, Beverly Hills, Mr. Chow, the restaurateur, he needed a date. So there I was. I was suddenly set up and dressed up and have a costume on, and I was suddenly his date. In the film The Medallion, they decided that I needed to be in the scene. So boom, I changed my clothes, and suddenly I was an undercover flower girl. In the film The Medallion, oh no, that was Tuxedo. No, in Medallion, I was once again an undercover garbage lady. I'm pushing garbage across the street, and I was given a stunt double because the car actually almost hit me.
Really?
And I was 6 months pregnant.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Oh
they
my
gave me a
gosh.
stunt double.
Wow. Yeah.
And the car actually bumped her. So I was like, oh, I feel so bad for her.
Yeah, that's scary.
Wow.
So it
was
just
that?
happened that you were on the set and they needed somebody to do these roles and you were there.
Yeah.
And
it happens a lot, actually. So I've been in probably 5 or 6 of Jackie's films because I was there, they needed somebody, and they knew I could act.
So I want to know, do you get double pay for that as an actress?
Yes, I do.
yeah, you probably do.
I
Yeah.
do.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good.
that happened to me on Apollo 13. It was my first. I was playing an extra, and I was new in Hollywood, and so I got this part as an extra, and they made me this one of the astronauts, like the B team astronaut. They made me his girlfriend, and there was a scene, and I got to be directed by Ron Howard, and in a scene with there were maybe 6 of us. I think Tom Hanks and Rita, Kathleen Quinlan, and it was very exciting. Anyway, the scene was cut out of the film, but it was huge to go from an extra to be directed by Ron Howard.
I think that's happened to all of us because you, Diana, you had that one scene you told me about that you were in Joy Luck Club and you got cut out.
Yes. So my first film was Joy Luck Club, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited because suddenly I could join SAG.
Right.
And I'm a professional now. So I'm driving to the set, and I'm thinking to myself, what if something happened to me? I won't make it to the set. But I focused on my driving, and I got there. They put me in costume and makeup, and then suddenly I see another woman dressed just like me, and she's pregnant just like me. So I said, which role are you reading? Which role are you playing? And she says, I'm playing Lindo's servant. And I said, oh, I'm playing Lindo's servant. So I see the director whispering to his AD, and he's pointing at the 2 of us. And suddenly an AD comes over and says, oh, your role's been cut. You can either go home now or you can stay for lunch. So, I'm a very positive, optimistic person. So I stayed and had lunch, and I networked, and I got numbers. And the caterer gave me his contact information and decided to cast me in an independent project he was working on. So I, had lunch, and then I left, and I shot his independent project, a few months later. And in that film, there was a young boy who turned out to be the director of Crazy Rich Asians, John Chu.
Oh, wow.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, nothing's really ever a waste because, when you meet people and you connect and all that.
And Diana is the queen of networking.
I try. I've always been a big supporter of all my friends and a big promoter. And that was even before I met all these famous people. So obviously, once I started to work with a lot of people in Hollywood, I was in a position to help many, many people. So I still do that today.
That's nice.
Oh, yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
She's always.
You got to do that. You have to look out for other people.
Yeah, for sure. When you can, right?
Yep.
Yeah, her page is always about everybody else. Congratulations, right?
Yeah, I promote my friends all the time because it also helps them get work. And that's happened as well. People reaching out to me, trying to find somebody that they saw on my page. So.
Yeah, that's nice.
Now, what about your daughter or your sons? Do they have any theatrical aspirations?
Well, given that my oldest is a captain of the robotics team, I would say no. My second child is in Boy Scouts, and he's also the president of his sophomore class. But he has an outgoing personality, but he's not dramatic at all. Now, my youngest, my daughter, does seem to have that in her. She really loves performing. She's taking music lessons and musical theater classes. I have a feeling she could go down that path. We'll see.
Wow. And your other sister, you have another sister that she just won a beauty pageant or something.
Oh, you're thinking about my niece.
Your niece, that's right. Yeah.
But my sister, I have a sister from my mother's second marriage who was available to become Jackie's assistant. After we finished working on Karate Kid, he needed an assistant to travel with him to 9 countries to promote the film. And she just graduated from college, so I went, how about my sister? And just like that, she flew out and traveled with him to 9 countries and assisted him for about 9 months.
So, Diana, I wanted to ask you, like, you worked on so many projects with Jackie. You're so diplomatic. I mean, you've had some really eccentric people that you've had to deal with. And how do you handle that? I mean, what do you do?
Well, working on Rush Hour was interesting because I felt like every day I had all these men hitting on me. And I was like expecting professional behavior, but I didn't really see that. And I was like, am I being overly sensitive? Is this just how men act? Are they trying to flatter me? I was constantly being called honey and sugar, and you're so beautiful. And at about a week of this, I was like, I'm not sure I can handle 4 months of this. So I had to think of a way to work in this kind of male-dominated environment.
Sure.
So the first thing I did was I cut off all my hair. My hair was suddenly this short. And then I bought boy clothing. I wore like jeans, I wore a baggy shirt, and guess what? No one's looking at me anymore. No one's calling me honey and sugar and any of that. So it's interesting.
Good for you. Good
for
you.
So I found a way to work in that kind of environment. And I of course stayed close to all the stunt guys because they would protect me.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. That happens a lot in Hollywood, everywhere really.
Yeah. And there is a difference. There are some people who really are trying to hit on you. And then there are people who just think that they're flattering you when they call you all these names. They think you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's how they were raised.
Yeah.
Yeah, lately it's like probably, I don't know, have you worked on any pictures with Jackie since the whole Me Too thing has happened? Has that like changed anything?
Let me see. My last film with him was in London. It was The Foreigner with Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, right.
And, everybody was really professional and friendly. The English people are really interesting because they tend to be very restrained. They're really friendly. Like every morning, everyone's asking me if I had a cup of tea. Like, did you have a cup of tea? And then they say, are you all right? And it isn't just hello and see you later. It's, how's your day? They act as if they really care about you. So when I follow Jackie, and he's always in a rush, people are stopping me going, oh, you're all right. Did you have a cup of tea? And I had to stop and say, no, I didn't, but thank you. But no, I don't think, I didn't see anyone misbehave on that set.
Maybe the English are more, it doesn't, I don't know, maybe just that kind of stuff doesn't happen as much over there,
I'm sure it does happen, but we had a very interesting environment. I do think the director sets the tone. Our director was Martin Campbell, who has directed 2 Bond films. So he's huge, and he's really, really focused. And he expects everyone on the set to be equally focused. So if you're chit-chatting, you'll be in trouble. No one chit-chats on his set. Everyone's focused on what he's doing and what he needs. And I've never worked on a set like that. It was so exciting. But a lot of people didn't appreciate it because people are used to like chit-chatting and having fun, but they weren't allowed to have fun on his set. They had to be focused and pay attention to what's going on. I don't I'm not sure anyone would dare flirt with anybody on that set.
Good point. Like the Brett Ratner sets are quite the opposite. It's party time. He's a character. I did a brief scene in Red Dragon, and he was the director of that. And I remember I showed up real late at night, and he turned around and gave me this big smile, and I was thinking, who is that guy? And they're like, that's the director. I'm like, oh. And then I met him again on Rush Hour, and he's like, oh yeah, I remember you. What advice would you give to anybody, Diana, since you are, been in the profession for so long now, and also your sister? Now, how'd your sister start getting a work as a director? I know she was doing plays, but how did she get into the more, A-list stuff?
She really worked hard. She worked hard from the very bottom up, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So when she came to Hollywood, she worked for New Line.
Mm-hmm.
She was an assistant to different executives in the music department. And then she moved all the way up to, the assistant to one of the head producers. But there were all these opportunities around her, and she took them. So like AFI has a program for women, a 6-week directing program. You have to, submit something that you've directed. And she did, and she got accepted. And just like that, she had this opportunity to make a short film with the support of AFI.
Mm.
And once she made the short film, then it traveled to film festivals, and she got attention that way. But she continued to push. Different networks have programs for budding directors, like ABC, CBS. They have these diversity directing programs for both directors and writers and actors. And so she kept submitting, to these different programs, and she got into a bunch of them. A bunch of these directing programs, which then allowed her to shadow different directors and an opportunity to talk to different producers. And she impressed some producers who wanted to give her a chance after just, meeting with her.
Yeah, that's great, because she's real bright, of course, but she's real focused. I noticed that a few times I've worked with her. She's very focused. She knows exactly. She's done her homework, right?
She was doing reality TV for a long time. And her first gig was for Survivor. She was one of the writers.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Yeah.
And so I think that opened a lot of doors as well. Being a part of something like that was huge, right? She went on to do a bunch of other shows. And I think when you do reality TV show, that you have such a low budget, you have to do everything. You have to write, you have to direct, you have to produce. Sometimes you have to act as well. So I think that was, great training for her as well. But I think these diversity directing programs that really help give her those opportunities to direct.
That's great. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know she did Fresh Off the Boat, like I mentioned, but you said she's doing something else, like a big film? What is it?
Yeah, she's doing a big film with Awkwafina.
Oh, that's right. Awkwafina was in Crazy Rich Asians.
Yes. And in fact, Awkwafina is she just finished doing a big budget action film called Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings. And it's going to be the first Marvel film with an Asian actor. Yeah. So she's in that film.
And Jude's directing that? No,
but she's in that film with my friends, actually, who are part of the action team. And she'll be doing a film with my sister afterwards.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm so
What about you? What do you have in the works?
These days, I'm busy with my kids, but I have so many friends who are creative, and they're always reaching out to me for opportunities. So recently, a friend of mine asked me to act in his short horror film. So I got my daughter involved, and so now he's editing it. So you'll see what it looks like when it comes out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our mutual friend Alex Sosin, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing a horror film too, so that was interesting.
Yeah, horror apparently sells. A lot of people, go into it because it's low budget, and it's easy to make sometimes.
Sure.
Depending on what you do, you could create a horror film in your bathroom, right? Yeah. I mean, there's so many ways you can tell stories like that.
That's true, and it probably doesn't have to be as character-driven in a way. Like the dialogue, it doesn't have to be as nuanced.
Right. Great music. A couple screens, and you've got a film.
Yeah.
And you're in.
Yes.
I know. Well, Diana used to come down to LA a lot, but now I think your visits are getting more scarce, right?
Yeah, just too busy with the kids, and for the first time in my I guess almost 30-year career, I told my agent I have no time to audition anymore. So I'm on hold with them. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, but I have a lot of friends, like I said, who are constantly looking for people, and so I'm always like connecting people.
That's why I keep telling Diana, I go, why don't you get your license? You'd be a great agent. She's like,
I
no, I
know.
don't have time for that.
It's true.
Well,
3 kids keep me too busy.
I'm looking at your resume or your little pamphlet here that Kimbra gave me, and it says you were in Father's Day.
Mm-hmm.
You did a guest star on Dharma and Greg,
Mm-hmm.
Lizzie
Two episodes.
McGuire,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Becker.
Mm-hmm.
What else? The Medallion, which you mentioned, the Tuxedo, Joy Luck Club. And you are the dialogue coach for the new Karate Kid.
Yes. So
Yeah,
in
the
the
new
film Karate Kid, which we shot in China, Jackie's role wasn't that big, so they asked me to work with all the children, and I did. So I helped them with their English and helped them with their acting.
By the way, I thought Jackie was really good in that movie. I didn't think he got
Thank
as
you.
much credit as
Thank
he
you. I think
as he
so,
deserved.
too.
Yeah, and that
I
one
agree.
scene in the car, remember, where he had to
Yeah.
break down? I was like, oh my God, you know?
When we shot that scene, I was crying.
I know.
And normally I'm not that emotional, but that was a tough scene. And I guess I've just seen Jackie as a person go through so many, you know, problems in his life, you know. So when we shot that scene, I was crying. I was crying on the set. I was holding up his cheat sheets and my hands were shaking. I was crying so hard.
Was it hard for him to go to that place, or does his skills get him there quickly? You know, the emotional place.
I think, you know, he's quite versatile. He doesn't have too many opportunities to show that side of him, but it's totally in him. And he's had some rough experience in his life. I mean, goodness sakes, from age 7 to age 17, he was raised by a physically abusive master, right? His parents were not around. And when you read his autobiography, it's really heartbreaking. And after reading his book, you just feel like if he can survive what he did from age 7 to 17, who are you not to try hard in life? Because he's gone through so much.
When you say master, do you mean like of martial arts?
Yes, he was in a Beijing opera school.
Yeah,
Beijing
I knew
opera
that.
School, they learned singing, dancing, martial arts, and weapons. So that was his background.
Yeah, he's
and hanging out with him, these stories are constantly coming up, little stories here and there about his childhood. And it's like you can't escape from it. You know, it really is who he is.
Yeah, I saw on the internet that they were talking about celebrity parents and what they're going to, you know, are they going to give the money to their kids? And there was a little thing about Jackie Chan, how he said that he feels like his son should work for the money and he's going to give it to charity. And I know he's really big about charity, giving.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yeah. No matter which country we film at, the first thing he does is he finds a charity he can work with.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I see somebody peeking.
My daughter's hiding back there. Hello again.
Elizabeth, ni hao.
Ni hao.
Okay.
Anyway, so it's been a lot of fun, and I know you've got some things you got to do. You got to go pick up the kids somewhere.
Yes, this little girl has violin lessons at 5. I have a son who's coming back from a swim meet, so I'll be hungry.
How's Bryant? Say hello to Bryant for me.
I will. Thank you. Thank you for having me today. It's so fun.
Really nice to meet you, Diana. Thanks for sharing your stories with us. It's really interesting.
Oh, we have so many stories, right, Kimbra?
Yeah. Ones that we can't tell. I know. I was like, Diana, should we talk about that? No, I still see those people, so no. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Good.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.